Is the revised conceptual class. Our topic for today is the revised conceptual framework. The International Accounting Standards Board, or IASB, issued the revised conceptual framework in March 2018. So basically, yung revised conceptual framework, ni-replace niya yung old conceptual framework. Because yung old, kailangan ng improvements. That's why meron tayong revised. Okay? Now, the revised conceptual framework is a comprehensive set of concepts and guidance for financial reporting. Okay? Ulitin ko class, the revised conceptual framework is a comprehensive set of concepts and guidance for financial reporting. When you say financial reporting, ang ibig sabihin lang nun is preparation of financial statements. Okay? Sir, bakit ba tayo merong revised conceptual framework? Because of 3 reasons. Number 1, to assist IASB, or yung counterpart niyan locally in the Philippines, is the FSRSC in developing new standards. So pag si IASB, magde-develop siya ng bagong standards in the future, ang magiging basis niya is the revised conceptual framework. Okay? Number 2, to assist IASB or FSRSC in reviewing existing standards. So yung mga existing or current standards natin, baka kailangan ng revisions or improvements or baka kailangan ng i-replace, ang magiging basis ni IASB is the framework. Alright? And number 3, to assist preparers, yung mga nagpe-prepare ng financial statements in accounting for transactions when no standard applies. For example, meron tayong transaction, naka-encounter tayo, and then walang applicable na accounting standard. Ang magiging basis natin is the framework. Alright? So ito yung 3 primary reasons kung bakit tayo merong revised conceptual framework. Now, sir, ano ba yung status ng framework? Well, the framework is not an accounting standard. Okay? Hindi siya accounting standard. So, ibig sabihin class, ang gagamitin pa rin natin, okay? Yung priority natin is PAS1, PAS2, and so on and so forth. So, kapag meron tayo na encounter na transaction, magpe-prevail pa rin yung accounting standard natin over the framework. Okay? So, leading ko class, the framework is not an accounting standard. It is just a set of concepts and guidance for financial reporting. So, ang purpose lang niya, para i-assist sa IASB sa new and existing standards natin and to assist the preparers kapag wala pang accounting standard na applicable sa certain transaction. Okay? Now, ang gagawin natin class, para maging efficient yung discussion natin, i-highlight ko lang yung mga key points per chapter na contained in the framework. Alright? Basically, meron tayong 8 chapters. Number 1, objective of financial reporting. Number 2, qualitative characteristics of useful financial information. Number 3, financial statements and reporting entity. Number 4, elements of financial statements. Number 5, recognition and derecognition of assets and liabilities. Number 6, measurement basis and how to use them. Number 7, presentation and disclosure. And number 8, capital and capital maintenance. So per chapter, again, para maging efficient yung discussion natin, i-highlight ko na lang yung mga key points. Okay? Let's go to chapter 1. Chapter 1 is objective of financial reporting. Again, pag sinabing financial reporting, preparation of financial statements. So basically, bakit ba tayo nagpe-prepare ng financial statements? The objective is to provide financial information that is useful to users in making economic decisions relating to providing resources to the entity. So, i-underline ko lang yung mga key points. Again, objective natin to provide financial information that is useful. Okay? Pinaka-important yan. Dapat useful yan sa users in making decisions. Okay? In the framework, kinategorize niya yung users according to, meron siyang 2 categories. Merong primary users and other users. So, yung primary users, ito yung potential investors and creditors. Okay? So, yung other users, so basta hindi investors or creditors. So, for example, suppliers. Okay, ano pa? Let's say employees, management, okay, government, and so on and so forth. So, again, yung users, according to the framework, may dalawa yan. The primary users and other users. Now, in making decisions, actually, nagbigay din ng examples ng decisions dun sa framework. Merong 3 examples na nilagay dun. Number 1, buying, selling, or holding equity or debt instrument. Ano ibig sabihin mo, sir? So, for example, class, investor tayo. Okay, meron tayong PLDT shares. So, tayo investor, so ibig sabihin primary user tayo, tama, ng financial statements. So sabi dyan, buying, selling, holding, equity, or debt instrument. Since investor tayo ng PLDT, ang gagawin ko dyan, i-analyze ko yung financial statements sa PLDT para makapag-decide ako if ibebenta ko ba, or bibili ba ako ng additional shares, ibebenta ko ba, or i-hold, or i-keep ko yung PLDT shares. Alright? So magiging decision ko as an investor, kung iba-buy, sell, or hold ko yung shares sa PLDT, ang magiging basis ko is the financial statements of PLDT. Okay? Next, providing or settling loans and other forms of credit. For example, class, tayo naman si Banco de Oro, BDO. Alright? So, ulitin ko, providing or settling loans. So, for example, may borrower, nag-approach sa atin, tayo si BDO. Well, para malaman ko, kung i-grant ko yung credit, kung papautangin ko yung borrower, i-analyze ko yung financial statements ni borrower. Alright? Para malaman ko kung may capacity ba na magbayad yung borrower sa akin. Alright? So, yung decision natin, as the users of user financial statements, is the financial statements of the borrower. Right? And next is voting or influencing management decisions. So for example, class, board of directors tayo ni SM Malls. Okay? So as one of the board of directors, For example, si SM magtatayo siya ng isa pang mall, okay, sa isang province, okay? And tayo, as part of the board of director, pwede tayong bumoto, okay? May influence natin yung decision ni management, alright? So, ayun lang, nabigyan ako ng example para mas madaling intindihan. So, ito yung mga decisions, examples in the framework. Alright, now, according to the framework, in order to make these decisions, dapat daw yung mga users of the financial statements must access, sulat mo muna, prospects for future net cash flows to the entity, and the management's stewardship on the entity's economic resources. Okay? So, economic resources. So, ulitin ko class, before daw makapag-decide, okay, gumawa ng decision, yung user of the financial statements, dapat daw may access siya sa dalawang bagay. According to the framework, number 1, prospects for future net cash flows. Saan ba natin makikita yung future net cash flow? So basically, sa statement of cash flows and statement of comprehensive income. Siyempre, pag mas mataas income mo ngayon, mas mataas yung cash flows mo, right? And management stewardship on economic resources. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng resources? Assets. Saan natin makikita yung assets? Statement of financial position. So ang point lang ng framework is, para makapag-decide tayo na maayos. Okay, yung 3 examples ng decisions na yan, dapat daw ma-access natin yan. Alin yung mga yan? Statement of cash flows, comprehensive income, financial position. So basically, dapat daw may access tayo sa financial statements. Ayun lang ibig sabihin niya. Okay? So that is chapter 1, objective of financial reporting. Let's go to chapter 2, qualitative characteristics of useful financial information. Actually, yung keyword sa framework is yung word na useful. Okay? Dapat useful. Magagamit dapat yan, yung information ng mga users in making decisions. Now, paano natin masasabi na ang isang information is useful? According to the framework, dapat daw meron siyang 2 fundamental characteristics. Number 1 is relevance. And number 2 is faithful representation. Okay? So, sulat mo muna. Relevance and faithful representation. Okay? Actually, sa framework, madalas i-mention yung dalawa na yan. Okay? Mahalaga din yan. Para maging useful daw yung financial information, meron tayong tinatawag na fundamental qualitative characteristics. Ano yun? Dapat merong relevance and faithful representation. Sir, ano ba ibig sabihin ng relevance? When you say relevance, the information is capable of making a difference to the decisions made by the users. Okay? Capable of making a difference to the user. So, relevant yun. Pag sabing relevant, sir, paano natin masabi na meron siyang difference? Sabi sa framework, the information must have a predictive or confirmatory value. Okay? Predictive or confirmatory value. As you can see, parang medyo theoretical talaga yung framework. Kasi again, set of concepts and guidance yan. Puro concepts lang yung diniscuss yan. Right? So, kaya medyo theoretical yung maging discussion natin. Ulitin ko class. Para maging useful yung financial information, dapat merong relevance and faithful representation. Ang tawag doon, fundamental qualitative characteristics. Relevance, paano siya maging relevant? Dapat capable of making a difference sa decision ng mga users. Paano natin masasabi na meron siyang difference? Kapag may predictive or confirmatory value. Let's have an example. For example, class, yung company natin, net loss siya, okay? For 3 years. Puro losses, pababa na pababa yung income niya. Alright? Now, in that case, kapag in-analyze natin yung financial statements for 3 years, masasabi natin na moving forward, sa 4th year, sa 5th year, possible na mababa pa rin yung net income niya. Alright? Pag mababa yung net income, mababa yung cash flows. Pag mababa yung cash flows, mababa yung stock price. Alright? Ang tawag doon, predictive. Napipredict natin. Or confirmatory value. Kaya natin i-predict kung ano yung possible na mangyari for the next few years. Now, kung tayo yung investor, let's say PLDT yan. Okay? Pag tayo si PLDT, since pababa na pababa yan, baka bumaba yung stock price, ibebenta ko na yung PLDT shares ko. Okay? So, yun yung ibig sabihin ng predictive or confirmatory value. Next, faithful representation. Actually, ang ibang term, okay, for faithful representation is reliability. When you say faithful representation, ang ibig sabihin lang yan, reliability. Sir, paano ba magiging reliable or faithfully represented yung isang information if the information is complete, okay, neutral, and free of error. Okay? Ito yung 3 characteristics para masabi natin na faithful representation or reliable. Complete, ibig sabihin, lahat ng transactions na report natin in the financial statements. Dapat ma-record natin yan. When you say neutral, actually, ang close concept sa neutral is the concept of prudence. Right? So, pag sinabing prudence, cautious tayo or maingat tayo sa mga estimates natin. Right? Ayaw natin i-overstate yung assets and income natin. Ayaw naman natin i-understate yung liabilities and expenses natin. Alright? So, yun yung concept of prudence. Again, maingat tayo, okay, sa pag-estimate. Alright? So, i-avoid natin yung overstatement of assets and income. Avoid natin yung understatements of liabilities and equity. And then, free of error, ayun, pag free of error, so ibig sabihin nun, reliable yung financial information. Okay? So, pag sabing fundamental qualitative characteristics, may isip nyo na agad, relevance and faithful representation. Pag relevance, pag may relevance and faithful representation, useful na yung financial information. Pero pag gusto natin i-enhance or i-improve yung financial information, meron pa tayong 4 characteristics na pwede idagdag. Number 1, comparability. Number 2, verifiability. Number 3, timeliness. And number 4, understandability. Okay? Ang tawag natin dyan, class, enhancing qualitative characteristics. Comparability, verifiability, timeliness, and understandability. Yung mga definitions yan and details sa pagsasagot natin ng handouts. Alright? So, ulitin ko, class, para maging useful, dapat may fundamental qualitative characteristics ka. Relevance and faithful representation. Pero kung gusto mo pang i-improve or i-enhance yung usefulness of the information, meron kang enhancing qualitative characteristics. Comparability, verifiability, timeliness, and understandability. Alright? And also, minention din sa chapter 2 na meron tayong constraints or limitations. Siyempre, gusto natin useful yung financial information na i-provide natin sa mga users. Tama? Pero may constraints dyan. Number 1 is cost-benefit. And number 2 is also timeliness. Okay? Ano ibig sabihin niya, sir? So for example, class, doon tayo sa cost-benefit. So ibig sabihin, yung benefit ng useful information must outweigh its cost. Okay? For example, meron tayong total assets sa balance sheet natin na 100 million. For example lang. And then meron tayong prepaid supplies. Okay? Yung supplies natin is worth 10,000 lang. Okay? 10,000. Now, yung 10,000 sobrang immaterial niya compared dun sa assets natin na 100 million. So yung cost na gagastusin natin para ma-justify na reliable yung 10,000 na yan, titignan mo natin, magbe-benefit ba? Yung benefit ba ng useful information, mas mataas ba yan sa cost na pag-justify ng 10,000? Parang gano'n. So, ulitin ko, pag sabi mong cost-benefit, the benefit of useful information must outweigh its cost. And the next na constraint natin is timeliness. For example, class, today is January 31, right? January 31. And then, kailangan mag-decide na tayo. Kailangan natin ng information today para mapag-decide, alright? Pero yung information, mabibigay pa sa atin sa Feb 28, 1 month from now. O hindi timely yun. Okay? Kasi magde-decide tayo dito, pero yung information dito pa makikita sa Feb 28, hindi yun timely. So, dapat, January 31 pa lang, available na information. So, ulitin ko, class, ang point lang ng constraint, ibig sabihin, para makapag-provide tayo ng useful financial information, i-consider mo din yung cost-benefit, dapat yung benefit mas outweigh its cost, and dapat timely yan, dapat readily available yung information kung kailan ka magde-decide. Alright? Actually, class, yung chapters 1 and 2, ito lang talaga yung, for me, ito yung pinaka-important talaga in the framework. Alright? Pero syempre, discuss pa rin natin yung rest of the chapters. Chapter 3, financial statements and reporting entities. So basically, sa chapter 3, well, dinescribe lang doon yung financial statements. Alam natin, nandiyan yung statement of financial position, statement of comprehensive income, statement of cash flows, changes in equity, and notes to financial statements. Okay, so yan, dinescribe lang doon. Alam naman natin na yan since na-discuss natin yan in detail, okay, yung financial statements. And then, minention din doon, class, na merong 3 types of financial statements. Number 1 is consolidated financial statements. Basically, ito yung sa AFAR, sa business combination, yung parent and subsidiary. Meron ding unconsolidated financial statements. So basically, alam natin ito yung separate financial statements or yung FS lang ni parent. And meron minention din doon na combined financial statements. Ito naman yung concept ng home office and branch. Right? So again, basically sa chapter 3, minention lang yan. And sinabi din doon yung, dinescribe din yung reporting entity. Sino ba yung reporting entity? So basically, siya yung magpe-prepare ng financial statement. Minention din sa chapter 3 na yung reporting entity can be more than one entity. For example, si parent and si subsidiary, ayun, more than one entity yung magpe-prepare ng financial statements. Okay? So yun lang. Yun lang minention sa chapter 3. Chapter 4, another important chapter. Elements of financial statements. So basically, ano ba yung 5 elements ng financial statements? Assets, liabilities, equity, income, and expenses. Okay? Yan yung elements. Pag sinabing elements, yung 5 items na yan. Alright? So basically sa chapter 4, define yung elements of financial statements. Okay? Sinulat ko na yung complete definition. I-underline ko na yung mga key points. Okay? Actually, yung asset, bagong definition yan. Okay? Compared sa old conceptual framework. Basahin natin, class. Asset is a present economic resource. Underline ko yan. Controlled by the entity as a result of past events. So ibig sabihin, kapag future event mangyayari pa lang, hindi yan pwedeng asset. Okay? An economic resource is a right that has the potential to produce economic benefits. For example, that's PPE. Alam natin yung PPE, asset yan. Tama? So it is an economic resource as a result of past events. Binili natin siya. Okay? Binili natin. And then meron siyang potential to produce economic benefits. Since yung PPE, ginagamit natin siya sa production or sa operations, meron siyang potential to produce revenues. So ibig sabihin na ng economic benefits, revenues dun sa entity. Okay? So ito na yung bagong definition of asset. Next, liability. A present obligation of an entity to transfer economic resource. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng transfer economic resource? Magbabayad tayo. Okay? For example, si supplier, nag-order tayo ng inventory. Kailangan natin magbayad. Okay? Transfer economic resource. As a result of past events, kapag future event, let's say in the future, mag-order tayo ng inventory, hindi pa liability yan. Okay? Dapat na-incur na natin. An obligation is a duty or responsibility that the entity has no practical ability to avoid. Okay? Basically, hindi natin ma-avoid. Because of what? 2 reasons. Number 1, because of contract. Let's say, meron tayong kontrata with the supplier, syempre, makaka-receive tayo ng inventory, babayaran natin siya. Wala tayong ability to avoid, kailangan natin magbayad. For example, umutang tayo sa bank, may loan tayo. Syempre, may kontrata tayo na pinirmahan with the bank, magbabayad tayo ng interest and principal. What else? Because of customary practice. Okay? Ang maganda example niyan is warranty. Even though wala tayong kontrata with the customer, since customary practice na natin na meron tayong warranty, liability yung warranty. Tama ba yan? So yun yung ibig sabihin ng no practical ability to avoid. Asset and liability. Ito yung bagong definition of liability. Next, equity. The residual interest in the assets of the entity after deducting all its liabilities. So basically, parang basic accounting equation natin, sinafo lang natin. Assets minus liabilities is equity. Pag sinabi mong equity, residual interest. Actually, sa old and new conceptual or revised conceptual framework, magkamukha lang yung definition ng equity. Ang iba lang, asset and liability. Ulitin ko, the residual interest in the assets of the entity after deducting all its liabilities or assets minus liabilities equal to equity. Next, income. Again, di mo lang naman kapag elements of financial statements. So, fourth is income. Sabi dyan, income daw is increase in assets, okay, decrease in liabilities, or decrease in liabilities that result in increase in equity. Okay? So, pag sabi income, either increase yung assets or decrease yung liabilities na mag-i-increase ng equity. Alright? Other than. Ano ba ibig sabihin ng other than? Excluding or except. Okay? Those relating to contributions from holders of equity claims. Ano ibig sabihin nun, sir? So, ganito yung class. Gumawa tayo sa first part of the definition. Okay? Sa income. Paano ba nagkakaroon ng increase in assets? So, for example, class, mag-a-accrue tayo. Debit interest receivable. Credit interest income. Tama ba? Nagkaroon ka ng income, may increase yung asset. Tumaas yung interest receivable mo. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng increase in assets. Ano naman, sir, ibig sabihin ng decrease in liabilities? For example, class, meron tayong unearned revenue tapos na-earn na natin. Debit, unearned revenue. Credit, revenue. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, meron kang income, meron kang revenue, nag-decrease yung liabilities natin. Nag-decrease yung unearned revenue natin. Okay? Now, yung increase in assets or decrease in liabilities, mag-i-increase ng equity yan. Bakit, sir, mag-i-increase ng equity yan? Yung income and yung revenue papasok sa retained earnings. Diba? Mag-i-increase yung RE. Therefore, mag-i-increase yung equity natin. Yun yung first part ng definition. Now, concentrate ka sa second part. Other than those relating to contributions from holders of equity. Class, ano ibig sabihin ng holders of equity? Shareholders. Okay? Kasi kapag nag-contribute yung shareholders, entry mo doon, debit cash, credit, ordinary shares, credit share premium. Tama? Ganun yung entry mo doon eh. Pag contribution, ibig sabihin nag-invest. Pag nag-invest yung shareholders, debit cash, and then credit ordinary shares, credit share premium. Tataas yung equity natin. Tama ba? So, ang ibig sabihin lang yan, ang point lang niyang class, yung income daw is increase in assets, decrease in liabilities, that result in increase in equity other than, excluding daw, yung investments ng mga shareholders. Kasi pag nag-invest yung shareholders, tataas yung equity mo, pero hindi naman tataas yung income mo. Tama ba yan? So, yun yung ibig sabihin ng other than, excluding investments from shareholders. Next, expenses. Last one. Decrease in assets, increase in liabilities that result in decrease in equity. So, opposite ng income yan. Ano ibig sabihin ng decrease in assets? So, for example, class, mag-entry tayo. Debit, debit insurance expense. Credit, prepaid insurance. Okay? So, for example, meron tayong na-consume sa prepaid insurance natin. Nagkaroon tayo ng expense, nag-credit ka ng prepaid insurance or nag-credit ka ng asset. Decrease in assets yan. Ano naman, sir, yung increase in liabilities? Nag-accrue tayo. Debit salaries expense, credit salaries payable. Meron kang expense. Okay? Tumaas yung liability mo. Meron kang salaries payable. Let's say increase in liability. And we know, magdi-decrease ang equity. Bakit, sir? Kasi expense yan eh. Expense, bababa. Si-charge mo sa retained, papasok sa retained earnings, bababa yung equity natin. Alright? Now, other than, ano ulit yung other than? Excluding. Those relating to distributions to holders of equity. Ano ulit yung holders of equity? Shareholders. Ano din distribute mo doon? Dividends. Kasi entry natin sa dividends, debit retained earnings, credit dividends, payable. Nag-debit ka ng RE, bababa yung equity mo. Tama? Other than daw. So, ibig sabihin, lahat daw ng decrease in equity, pero hindi kasama yung pag-distribute natin ng dividends. Yun yung ibig sabihin yan. Okay? So, asset, liability, equity, income, and expenses. Okay? So, yun yung makikita natin sa Chapter 4, Elements of Financial Statements. So, to Chapter 5, Recognition and Derecognition of Assets and Liabilities. When you say recognition, ang ibig sabihin lang yung class is inclusion of item in the financial statements. Right? Inclusion of item in the financial statements, or basically ito yung first entry natin. Initial recognition or yung first journal entry. Alright? So sabi dun, in the framework, chapter 5, kailan tayo magre-recognize ng asset, liability, equity, income, and expenses sa financial statements natin. Magre-recognize tayo, meron daw recognition if the information will result to relevance and faithful representation. Yun lang nakalagay doon. Magre-recognize ka daw ng item in the financial statements kapag magre-result yun to relevance and faithful representation. Okay? When you say derecognition naman, class, ibig sabihin nito, removal of assets and liabilities in the statement of financial position. Alam natin yan, derecognition. For example, nagbenta tayo ng PPE. Okay? Meron tayong gain or loss on sale of PPE. Okay? Derecognition yan. Now, dinefine doon. Kailan daw tayo magde-derecognize ng asset? We derecognize an asset when an entity loses control of the asset. Kapag wala tayong control sa asset, derecognize natin yan. Pag nagbenta natin, wala tayong control doon. Transfer natin yung ownership doon sa buyer, derecognize natin yan. Kailan naman tayo magde-derecognize ng liability? When the entity has no longer has a present obligation. Okay? So for example, guys, bayad na tayo sa liability natin. Okay? Since bayad na tayo, i-debit mo na yung liability. Yun ibig sabihin nun. No longer has a present obligation. Okay? So yun yung mga concepts ng derecognition. Again, chapter 5, di-describe lang dyan, kailangan mag-recognize. Recognize ka kapag magre-result to relevance and faithful representation. Kailangan ka magde-recognize sa asset kapag nawalan ka ng control. Kapag liability naman, kapag bayad ka na, wala na tayong present obligation. Chapter 6, minor chapters na lang yan, 6, 7, and 8. Chapter 6, measurement basis and guidance kung kailan sila gagamitin. Nagbigay na examples. Ano ba yung mga measurement basis? Number 1, historical cost. Okay, saan natin ginagamit yung historical cost? Well, maganda example yan, PPE, ano pa? Intangible assets, yung mga ganyan. Historical cost natin sila measure, alright, initially. What else? Example pa ng measurement basis, fair value. Ginagamit natin yung fair value sa investments. What else? Sa investment property. Ayan. Next example is value in use. Naalala niyo pa klase yung value in use? Kailan natin siya ginagamit? In computing impairment loss, tama? Sa recoverable amount. What else? Ang isang example pa doon is fulfillment value. So, ibig sabihin ng fulfillment value, ibig sabihin din yung klase, ito yung expected value. Expected value. Or basically, ito yung ginagamit natin for liabilities. Okay? Pag mag-best estimate tayo in computing liabilities, ang tawag na doon, fulfillment or expected value. And binention din doon class yung current cost. Okay? Yung current cost naman, basically, ang pinakamalapit na example dito is replacement cost. Okay? So, replacement cost, if you remember, yun yung diniscuss natin sa revaluation. Right? So, basically, class, sa chapter 6, pinakita lang doon yung different measurements, historical cost, fair value, value in use, fulfillment or expected value, and current cost. Okay? And then, nagbigay ng guidance, kailan mo sila gagamitin. Right? Hindi natin di-discuss yung guidance na yun, masyadong detailed yun. But basically, sinabi doon, i-consider natin, again, relevance and faithful representation. Again, pag binasa mo yung framework, lagi mini-mention dyan, relevance and faithful representation. Puro ganun. Because, again, ang goal kasi natin in the conceptual framework, objective natin, to provide information that is useful. Kailan siya magiging useful? Kapag merong relevance and faithful representation. Chapter 7, presentation and disclosure. Basically, in-emphasize dito class yung sufficiency of the notes to financial statements. Okay? Alam natin, sa notes to financial statements, nandoon yung accounting policies, nandoon yung mga details, nandoon yung mga breakdowns ng mga line items sa financial statements, nandoon yun sa notes to financial statements. So, in-emphasize sa chapter 7 kung dapat gano'n ka-sufficient yung notes to financial statements natin. Also, hin-highlight din sa chapter 7 yung income statement, also called yung statement of profit or loss. Okay? So, hin-highlight dyan sa chapter 7, yung kailan daw tayo mag-i-include ng item sa income statement and kailan daw tayo mag-i-include ng item sa OCI. Alright? So, diniscuss din dyan yan, alright, sa chapter 7. And also, may mention din dyan, class, yung recycling versus without recycling. Kung naalala nyo, sa discussion natin ng FVOCI, di ba, meron dong recycling versus without recycling. May mention din dyan yan. Kailan natin, pag nagbenta tayo ng OCI, kailan siya mapupunta sa retained earnings, yun yung without recycling, kailan siya mapupunta sa profit or loss, yun yung recycling. Okay, so again, dinescribe ko lang kung ano yung makikita mo sa chapter 7, but basically, nandun yung sufficiency of the notes to financial statements, medyo diniscuss din dun yung income statement and statement of, or also called statement of profit or loss. Dinescribe dun yung kailan tayo mag-i-include sa OCI and yung recycling versus without recycling. And last chapter, capital and capital maintenance. Ano ibig sabihin yan? When you say capital, basically, sa point of view ng corporations, ito yung shareholders' equity natin. Right? Pag sinabing capital maintenance, pag sinabing maintenance, ibig sabihin recovery. Okay? So, ang concept na niyang class is, sulat mo muna, capital and capital maintenance, yung main concept niyan is that income should only be recognized, after the entity's capital has been recovered. Sulat mo muna, okay? Has been maintained or recovered. Alright? So, pag sinabi mong capital and capital maintenance, income should recognize, magre-recognize lang tayo ng income once ma-recover na natin or ma-maintain na natin yung capital, yung shareholders' equity. Okay? Or basically, income is recognized in excess of capital maintenance. Okay? So, medyo malabo, sir. Magbigay tayo ng example. Income is recognized in excess of capital maintenance. For example, kasi ito yung shareholders' equity natin. Okay? Shareholders' equity. And then, beginning balance natin is 100, ending balance natin is 120. Okay? Income natin, net income for the year is 20. Alright? So, ganyan yung nangyari sa shareholders' equity natin. Now, beginning balance is 100, net income is 20, ending balance natin is 120. Now, yung breakdown ng 120 na yan, yung 100 is called capital maintenance. Alright? Yung 20, ito yung income natin. So, ulitin ko class. Ang ibig sabihin lang ng concept of capital and capital maintenance, magre-recognize tayo ng income once ma-recover na natin yung capital or once ma-maintain na natin yung capital. Ano yung capital natin? 100. Na-recover natin 100. In excess dun. Okay? 120 ending mo. Ano yung in excess of 100? 20. In 20, yun lang yung pwede natin recognize na income. Okay? So again, class, yung revised conceptual framework, again, because it is a comprehensive set of concepts and guidance, medyo theoretical siya. As you can see, puro theories lang yung diniscuss natin. Okay? Now, yung details yan and other concepts pa na hindi ko na mention, daanan natin yan as we answer our handouts. Let's go to our handouts. Okay, we have, marami to actually, 60 questions. So, bilisan natin. Number 1. What's the basic purpose of the revised conceptual framework? Number 1, to assist FRSC in developing accounting standards, new accounting standards, that's correct. Number 2, to assist FSRSC in reviewing and adopting existing international accounting standards, yes, reviewing existing standards. And number 3, to assist preparers of FS in applying accounting standards and dealing with topics those have yet to form. Ito daw yung mga transactions na wala pang applicable na standards, so that's the third purpose or third reason. Dog for number 1, 1, 2, and 3, lahat yan. Yan yung purpose of the revised conceptual framework. Number 2, which is not within the scope of the revised conceptual framework. Again, meron tayong 8 chapters. Kasama ba yung objective financial statements? Yes. Yan yung chapter 1. Qualitative characteristics? Yes. Chapter 2. Recognition and measurement? Yes. Chapters 5 and 6. Yung GAAP, wala yan. Dog is answer. Not within the scope, dog yan. Number 3, the revised conceptual framework is comprised of how many chapters? 8 chapters. Okay, letter B or boy. Number 4, which statement is incorrect concerning the revised conceptual framework? Number 1 or 8. The framework is not a PFRS. Yes, di siya. Not an accounting standard. Therefore, and does not define standard for any particular measurement or disclosure. Yes. B, the framework is concerned with general purpose financial statements. Yes. Letter C yung mali dyan. In cases of conflict, the requirements of the framework prevail over those of the relevant PFRS. Hindi, mali yun. Pag may naka-encounter tayo ng transaction, tapos conflicting si conceptual framework versus let's say PAS1, susundin mo si PAS1, huwag si conceptual framework. Si conceptual framework, pang-assist lang siya. Alright? Assistance lang yan. Ang masusunod pa rin is the accounting standard. Letter C for number 4. Letter D, the framework applies to the financial statements for commercial, industrial, that's correct. C for number 4. Number 5, under the revised conceptual framework, users of financial information may be classified into, punta ka sa boy, primary and other users. Right? Actually, yung letter C, yung internal and external, yan yung old conceptual framework. So, FYI na lang. Yung revised, boy yung sagot. Boy for number 5. Number 6, these are related to economic resources, economic obligations, residual equity, and changes in item, revenue and expenses. So, tawag natin dyan, elements of financial statements, assets, liabilities, equity, income, and expenses. A, basic elements. Number 7, which is not within the definition of asset. Tingnan natin. Define natin yung asset kanina. Asset is a present economic resource. Kasama yan. Economic resource, right, has potential to produce economic benefits or revenues. Kasama yan. The future resource controlled as a result of past event. Kasama din yan. Letter D, future economic benefit is expected to flow to the entity. Wala yan sa definition. Actually, sa old conceptual framework, iyan yung definition. Okay? Wala na ngayon yan sa revised. So, dog yung not within this definition. 7, dog. 8, what is the new definition of liability? Okay. C yung sagot mo dyan. A present obligation of the entity, okay, to transfer an economic resource as a result of past events. Okay, letter C for number 8. Actually, yung A present obligation of the entity arising from past event, the settlement of which is expected to result in inflow or outflow of economic benefit. Iyan yung definition under old conceptual framework. Alright? So, outflow of economic benefit. Pero yung new definition, letter C na yan. Okay? Number 9, under the revised conceptual framework, which of the following need not be satisfied for a liability to exist? Entity has obligation, yes. Transfer economic resource, yes. Ibig sabihin, pagbabayad natin, right? Obligation sa present obligation, yes. Dog hindi kailangan. The settlement of obligation is expected to result in an outflow of economic benefit. Again, iyan yung old definition. Dog for number 9. Number 10, it is the residual interest in the assets of the enterprise after deducting its liabilities, equity. Okay, letter D or dog for number 10. Jump tayo to number 13. 1-3 muna ha, 13. It is defined as increase in economic benefits during the accounting period or enhancement of assets or increase in assets, decrease in liabilities that result in increase in equity other than contributions or other than investments sa mga shareholders. Again, income yung number 13. Okay, 13 muna ha. Boy, income. Balik tayo sa 12. Number 12. It represents the gross outflows of economic benefits during the period arising in the course of ordinary course of enterprise that result in decrease in equity. Okay, decrease in equity, those relating to distributions, other than those or other than dividends. Expense yung letter C, number 12. Okay, 12 is letter C. Balik tayo sa number 11. Okay, it represents the gross inflows of economic benefits during the period arising in the course of ordinary activities of an enterprise. Okay, gross inflows yan. Okay, hindi yan income, revenue yan. Dog for number 11. Okay, ulitin ko. 11 is dog, 12 is C, expense, 13 is boy, income. Number 14, it is the process of incorporating in the balance sheet or income statement an item that meets the definition of an element of financial statements. Recognition, inclusion of item in the financial statements. Letter A for number 14. Number 15, it is the process of determining the monetary amounts at which the elements are to be recognized. Measurement naman yan. Letter A. Okay? Measurement. Right? Again, meron tayong 5 examples ng measurement basis. Number 16, the underlying theme of the revised conceptual framework is usefulness. Again, pinaka-important yung word na yan. Useful. Boy, decision, usefulness for number 16. Number 17, in financial accounting, revenues and expenses are often included in the determination of net income even though no cash receipts or disbursements have occurred. Alam natin, accrual basis yan. We recognize income as we earn, we recognize expense as we incur. Okay, hindi mahalaga sa atin kailan tayo nagbayad or kailan natin na-receive yung cash. Alright? Dog accrual basis. Number 18, this is an assumption by an accountant that the business will continue to operate indefinitely. Okay, going concern yan. Boy for number 18. Ang assumption natin in the preparation of financial statements, forever yung life of the entity. Okay? Kaya tayo may mga accruals, kaya tayo may mga depreciation. Again, because ang assumption is indefinite yung life of an entity. Boy, going concern for number 18. Number 19, which underlying concept serves as the basis of preparing financial statements at regular intervals. Even though ang assumption natin is indefinite yung life, nagpe-prepare tayo ng different intervals ng FS. Ano yung mga example? Annual, semi-annual, quarterly, or monthly financial statements. So tawag natin diyang class, letter C, accounting period concept. Letter C, accounting period concept. Number 20, the financial statement should be stated in terms of a common financial denominator, monetary unit. Dog naman for number 20. So for example, dapat sa FS, lahat pesos. Hindi pwedeng current assets mo pesos, current liabilities mo naka-dollars. Hindi pwedeng ganun. Dapat common yung financial denominator or common yung currency. Okay? Tawag na doon, monetary unit, dog. 21. Preparation of consolidated FS when a parent-subsidiary relationship exists is an example of, yun yung conso FS, tama? So, yung parent and subsidiary, isang entity lang sila. Kaya dapat, pagsamahin yung FS na i-consolidate. Ang tawag natin dun class, economic entity assumption, boy, for number 21. 22. What are the qualitative characteristics of financial statements according to the revised conceptual framework? Punta ka dun sa boy. Qualitative characteristics, ito sila. Okay, are the attributes that make the information provided in financial statements useful. Okay? Useful to others. Para masabi mo useful, dapat na-possess yung mga qualitative characteristics. Boy for number 22. 23. Enhancing qualitative characteristics para further ma-enhance or mas mag-improve pa yung usefulness of the financial information. Ang tawag natin dyan, enhancing qualitative characteristics. Letter C yan. Comparability, verifiability, timeliness, and understandability. 23 is letter C. To achieve faithful representation, the financial statements must be complete, neutral, and free of error. Letter C for number 24. Which qualitative characteristics relate to the content? Pag sinabing content, take note mo na lang, ibig sabihin nun, fundamental qualitative characteristics. Okay? Sagot mo dyan, letter A, relevance and reliability. Ano ulit yung reliability? Another term lang yan for faithful representation. Okay? So pag sinabing content of the FS, ibig sabihin yung klase yun yung fundamental qualitative characteristics. Letter A, sagot dyan. Number 26, which qualitative characteristics relate to the presentation? Kapag presentation naman, enhancing. Okay? So take note mo na lang dyan. Ano yung consistent dyan? Understandability and comparability. Boy, yung sagot mo dyan. Okay? Yan lang yung consistent sa choices. Boy for number 26. Ulitin ko, kapag content, fundamental qualitative characteristics. Pag sinabing presentation, enhancing qualitative characteristics. Number 27, it is the quality of information that assures readers that the information is free from bias or error and faithfully represents. Faithful representation, also called reliability. Letter C for number 27. Number 28, verifiability of financial accounting information is synonymous with. Yung verifiability, synonymous daw siya with, well, actually, among the choices, ang pinakamaganda na dyan is, best answer is faithful representation. Kapag verifiable, ibig sabihin, reliable yan. Okay, kaya natin i-prove. Letter A for number 28. Number 29, which term best describes information that influences the economic decisions of the users? Capable of making a difference, relevance yan, or relevant. 29 is boy. 30, financial information that it presented in the balance sheet is misstated and it influences the economic decision of user. That information is described as, well, dapat relevant, pero sa choices, ang closest is material. Kapag material, ibig sabihin, kapag na-misstate yung item na yun, okay, makaka-influence siya ng decisions of the users. Okay? Material or materiality. Boy for number 30. Number 31, freedom from error relates to which qualitative characteristic? Freedom of error or free of error? Faithful representation yan. Okay, letter A for number 31. 32, which of the following terms describing information the FS are properly matched? Alin daw dito yung synonymous? Basahin natin yung choices. Prudent and reliable? Parang hindi. Prudent and relevant? Parang hindi. Reliable and verifiable? C yung best answer. Unbiased and neutral, yan yung synonymous. Okay? Letter C for number 32. Letter D kasi understandable and comparable. Best answer pa rin is letter C, unbiased and neutral. Number 33, under the revised conceptual framework, it is the ability through consensus among independent observers to ensure that the financial information represents what it purports to represent. Actually, this is the definition of verifiability. Okay? Verifiability. Ibig sabihin, class, pag different users, kapag nag-attempt sila i-verify yung laman ng financial statements, mag-a-arrive sila sa same conclusion. Okay? Pag independently, i-verify nila information, mag-a-arrive sila sa same conclusion. Ang tawag na yun doon, verifiability. For number 33, letter dog, verifiability. 34, what links the decision makers and the decisions they make so that the information would be useful. Kailan magiging useful yan? Siyempre, dapat na-understand nila, naiintindihan nila. Dog understandability. Actually, ang assumption natin kapag nagpe-prepare tayo ng FS is, siyempre yung users dapat nakakaintindihan, okay, ng content of the financial statements. Sagot natin for number 34, dog understandability. 35, in respect to information included in FS, the accounting concept of prudence. Ano ibig sabihin ng prudence? Dapat cautious or maingat tayo sa mga estimates natin. Gusto natin i-avoid yung overstatement of assets and income and to avoid understatements of liabilities and expense. A, the financial statements report what they purport to report in the faithful representation yan. B, a degree of caution, ingat, in exercise of judgments about estimates. That's correct. Okay, yan yung prudence. Boy na yung sagot for 35. Tingnan natin iba yung choices. C, information is provided to users within the same time period. Okay? Timeliness. Parang yung kaninang example ko. Magde-decide ka January 31. Tapos ibibigay sa iyo information Feb 28. Hindi yan timely. Dapat kung kailan ka magde-decide, ready na yung information. C is timeliness. Dog, an appropriate balance is achieved between relevance and reliability of information that has been included. Actually, yung dog, this is the definition of comparability. Okay, so take note na lang. Dog is comparability. Actually, hindi yung, tingnan natin yung 36. Which of the following interacts with both relevance and reliability to contribute to the usefulness of information? Pag bumalik ka sa 35, iyan yung dog, tama ba? So, ang sagot sa 36 is comparability. Again, comparability is balance between relevance and reliability. A for number 36. 37, which of the following is an ingredient of the primary quality of relevance? Kailan magiging relevant yan? Pag may predictive or confirmatory value, nasa choices is A, predictive value. Number 37, A. 38, this refers to the tendency of accountants to resolve uncertainty in a way least likely to overstate assets and revenues. Actually, yun yung prudence. Tama? Pero another term for prudence, wala sa choices yung prudence, conservatism. Letter C. Okay? Prudence and conservatism, medyo synonymous yung dalawa na yan. Number 39, which of the following is an example of concept of conservatism? Punta ka sa letter A. Stating inventories at lower of cost or NRV. LCNRV. Di ba yung ina-apply natin sa inventories? Kasi, inventory is an asset. Tama? Ayaw natin ma-overstate yun. So, lower of cost or NRV. Okay? So, yun yung application of conservatism or prudence, letter A. Number 40, the cost of an inexpensive fountain pen, which an estimated life of 5 years, was treated as an expense. It is an example of materiality principle. Okay? So, again, kapag immaterial naman sa atin, dito, example, pen, huwag mo na i-depreciate yan. Expense mo na yan, 100% agad. Materiality principle, letter C. Number 41, in the event of conflict between the economic substance of a transaction and its legal form, the economic substance shall prevail. Substance over form. Letter B for number 41. 42, the financial accounting information is directed toward the common needs of users and is independent of presumptions about particular needs. Kaya ang tawag natin sa FS, general purpose financial statements because para yan sa general users, lahat ng users. Hindi yan specific purpose FS. Okay? So, ang sagot mo dyan class, neutrality, letter C. Neutral tayo. Okay? Walang bias. Lahat ng users pwede mag-access. Okay? Para sa general users yung FS natin. Neutrality, 42. 43, it is the exercise of care and caution in dealing with uncertainties in measurement so as not to overstate assets and income and not to understate liabilities and expenses. Prudence. Alright, boy for number 43. Number 44, it is a result of the standard of adequate disclosure. Okay, adequate disclosure, ang tawag naman natin dyan class is completeness. Complete. Okay? Lahat na record natin. Lahat na disclose natin. Completeness, letter D for number 44. 45, the revised conceptual framework of accounting sets out two constraints when implementing accounting procedures. Dalawa yung constraints natin. Cost benefit and timeliness. Letter D. Consider natin yan whenever we are providing or trying to provide useful financial information. Dog for number 45. Okay, malapit na. 15 items to go. Number 46, which of the following accounting concepts states that an accounting transaction should be supported by sufficient evidence to allow two or more qualified individuals to arrive at essentially similar conclusions? Objectivity, boy. Okay? So, ibig sabihin din yan, lahat ng transactions na nireport natin sa financial statements, dapat may supporting documents yan. Alright? Objectivity, boy for number 46. 47, timeliness is an ingredient of relevance. Okay? So, yung timeliness kanina, dito yung information kailangan natin, January 31, paano magiging, dapat timely siya before maging relevant sa decision making natin. Kasi kapag hindi timely, hindi na relevant yan kasi magde-decide tayo January 31. Relevance yung timeliness na yan. Boy. 48, which of the following is an example of the expense recognition of associating cost and effect. Best answer dito class is sales commission. Number 48, cost and effect. Bakit sir? Kapag meron kang sales, expect mo na meron kang sales commission kasi yung sales commission is percentage of sales. Tama? Boy yan, cost and effect yan. Sales commissions. Number 49, the application of costs against revenue in measuring periodic income. I-mirror natin or i-match natin yung revenue and expenses natin. Ang tawag natin doon, matching concept or matching process. Dog for number 49. 50, which of the following is an example of principle of systematic and rational allocation? Pinakamaganda example niyan, depreciation and amortization. So letter A, amortization of intangible assets. Number 51, which of the following principles best describes the concept of rational for the method of matching depreciation with revenue? Again, sabi ko lang, boy yan, systematic and rational allocation. Magandang example yan, depreciation and amortization. Boy for number 51. 52, a patent with a 10-year life was determined to be worthless. Or write-off na natin. The right of the asset is an example of which of the following principles? Boy yan, immediate recognition. Okay? So, yung pag-amortize, systematic and rational allocation yan, tama? Pero yung kapag write-off mo na, immediate recognition na yan. Boy for number 52. Number 53, which among the following equations best exemplifies the entity theory of accounting? Well, alam natin class na yung basic accounting equation natin is assets equal to liabilities plus equity. Okay? So assets equal to liabilities plus equity. Okay? So yun yung basic accounting equation natin. Ang tawag din natin dyan class is entity theory of accounting. Ano ibig sabihin ng entity theory of accounting? Ibig sabihin, yung assets ng isang entity, ang nag-provide yan is the creditors or yung liabilities and yung mga shareholders natin or equity. Okay? Entity theory of accounting, isipin mo lang, yun yung basic accounting equation natin. Letter A yung sagot mo dyan. Assets equal to liabilities plus capital. Number 54, which of the following equations best exemplifies the proprietary theory of accounting? Yung proprietary theory of accounting, yun yung assets minus liabilities equal to equity. Okay? Letter B, assets minus liabilities equal to capital. Sir, paano natin maalala yung proprietary theory of accounting? Ano ba ibig sabihin ng proprietary? Ibig sabihin ng proprietary, ownership. Okay? Sino ba yung may-ari? Owners, yung mga shareholders. Kaya, ito siya. Assets minus liabilities, ito yung ownership or yung proprietary. Gets? Okay. Boy for number 54. 55. Generally, revenue should be recognized at a point when. Kailan tayo mag-recognize ng revenue? Punta ka sa C. An exchange has taken place and the earnings process is virtually complete. Pag services, na-render natin yung services. Kapag goods, nabenta natin yung goods. Okay? Earning process is complete. For 55, letter C. Number 56, the term matching costs and revenues means that, actually best answer dito, dog. Okay? If costs are charged up as expense in the accounting period where they're actually incurred, they will be matched properly with revenues earned during the accounting period. For example, meron tayong PPE, property plant equipment. Siyempre, yun yung ginagamit natin sa production. Tama, nagpo-produce tayo, magkaka-revenues tayo because of PPE. Ima-match natin ang expense yan, which is the depreciation expense. Okay? Dog for number 56. 57, which of the following does not apply to the recognition of revenue for transactions involving the rendering of services? Alin daw yung hindi applicable sa services? Let's say the choices. A, the amount of revenue can be measurable? Yes. B, probable? Yes. Letter C, mali dyan. The significant risk and rewards have been transferred to the buyer. Applicable yan kapag sale of goods. Pag services, hindi yan applicable. C yung sagot natin for 57. Dog cost incurred can be measured reliably. C for number 57. 58, revenue is recognized when? Punta ka sa dog. It is probable and that reliably measurable. Probable and measurable. Yun yung keywords natin kung kailan tayo mag-recognize ng revenue. It is probable that reliably measurable future economic benefits will flow to the enterprise. Dog for number 58. Number 59, normally, revenue is recognized when? Kapag may transfer of risks and rewards or may transfer of ownership na. Kailan mangyayari yun? Punta ka sa dog. When the title to the goods changes. Especially kapag may inventory. FOB shipping point, FOB destination, yung mga ganyan. Okay? Pag may transfer of ownership or transfer of title, doon tayo mag-recognize ng revenue. Dog for number 59. And last one, number 60, under what methods is revenue recognized prior to delivery? Okay, actually, discuss natin sa AFAR. Long-term construction contracts, ang ginagamit natin dyan is percentage of completion method. Letter A yung sagot mo dyan. Kailan doon tayo mag-recognize ng revenue prior to delivery? Percentage of completion method. Because percentage of completion method, applicable yan pa nagko-construct tayo. For example, magko-construct tayo ng building. Okay? Kahit hindi pa 100% tapos yung building, let's say 20% pa lang, mag-recognize tayo ng 20% of the revenues. Answer for number 60, letter A, percentage of completion method. So that's the end of our discussion on the revised conceptual framework.